If you are going to let the fear of poverty govern your life, your reward will be that you will eat, but you will not live. That's a quote by George Bernard Shaw. And it was at that point when I realized that this morning's reading from The Rudder of the Day by Dan Miller was going to provide fodder for this morning's episode of the All Around Growth Podcast. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. This is episode number 151 of the All Around Growth Podcast, a show that is designed and dedicated to providing insight and tools to helping us build the lives and homesteads of our dreams. My name is Rob Kaiser and I am your host. Let's continue reading from The Rudder of the Day. The title of the passage, or the little meditation of the day, is The Root of All Evil. And the question is, how should we understand this basic biblical principle? Well, we know that the root of all evil is money, right? No, of course not. This is not the biblical principle at all. It's the love of money that is the root of all evil. Now, who do you see loving money more? A rich person or a poor person? I don't hear the wealthy people I know talking about money incessantly like I hear poor people who seem to relate everything they do to the issue of how much money it will cost or generate. And who really is slave to money? The person who is doing something they love and is in the process of making $250,000 a year? No, it's the person who is going to a job he or she hates every day just for the money. Now there's a person who has made money their god. There's the person who focuses on and loves money. We have some dear friends who have hearts of gold. They are some of the most generous people I know. They have supported multiple worthy causes over the years, have given away cars, furniture, food, and clothing to those in need, and yet continue to have money come to them in massive amounts. The sale of one recent investment just added another $32 million to their resources. I never hear them talk about money. They live a modest lifestyle, and they are simply faithful stewards of God's riches. Quote, if you are going to let the fear of poverty govern your life, your reward will be that you will eat, but you will not live. Close quote. George Bernard Shaw. This is a difficult point for most people. A lot of us retain something of the old primitive religious idea that poverty and self-sacrifice are pleasing to God. Somehow this implies that God has finished his work, has made all that he can make, and that the majority of people must stay poor because there's not enough to go around. So they're embarrassed to ask for much, as it may deprive someone else of having their needs met. But obviously the reverse is true. The best way to help the poor is to not be one of them. The desire for riches is simply the innate capacity for growth and fulfillment. In 1910, Wallace Wattles wrote, quote, that which makes you want more money is the same as that which makes the plant grow. It is life seeking fuller expression. Close quote. What God requires is that we use our talents wisely, and in doing so, what I typically see is a release of peace, sense of accomplishment, and money. From the Bible, we read, quote, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! You pay a tenth of mint, dill, and cumin, yet you have neglected the more important matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faith. These things should have been done without neglecting the others. Close quote. That's from Matthew chapter 23, verse 23. And finally, the direction for today, the question that we are going to ask ourselves and think about as we head down the road is, are you a faithful steward of money, or are there areas where you have allowed it to control you? All right. Am I a faithful steward of money? Or are there areas where I have allowed it to control me? That's a very good question. And like I do oftentimes with these spur of the moment podcast recordings, I oftentimes read something from the meditation book, the devotional book of choice. I don't even read it entirely. I get hit with the idea and I think, I've got to talk about that. So instead of diving into the question of being a faithful steward of money and contemplating and talking about ideas, areas where I have allowed it to control me, we'll look back at money and the love of money and how the love of money is the root of all evil. And this idea of money and concepts of money, the entire way that I think about money has changed in the last, at this point, 4 years. It was 4 years ago that I first took or attended a Financial Peace University course. And I still am, a single man. I was in my late 30s at that time, and I had well over $20,000 in debt. I did not know what to do. And that first year after that class, I didn't make a whole lot of progress. So I went back. 2018, went to Financial Peace University again. Things started to click. I went to a different location with different people. Attended it at a different church. Things really started to click. 2019, I did it again. Same church, same people. Started working with a financial coach. Started making some good progress. Paying off my debt. 2020, became debt-free. All of this was done following the baby steps. Now, in 2020, not only did I become debt-free, but that was also the first year that 2019 was the first year that I coordinated a Financial Peace University course. All right, I digress. I'm getting lost in the details. The important thing is Financial Peace University has become a part of my life. No longer do I carry the burden of debt. I've made significant progress on baby step 3. I am very close to making big strides with regard to my investing. And there's a lot to talk about and a lot to think about there. And perhaps my thoughts on investing I will share in a future episode. That would actually be a good episode to do. You know, Rob's thoughts on investing and planning for the future financially. And what seems to align with all-around growth. when I was, there was something, and while I'm here at this stop sign, I don't hear wealthy people I know talking about money incessantly like I hear poor people who seem to relate everything they do to the issue of how much money it will cost or generate. And who really is slave to the money? The person who is doing something they love and is in the process of making $250,000 a year? No, it's the person who is going to a job he or she hates every day just for the money. You hear the engine in the background? Are you listening to this show on your commute? Are you listening to this show at your day job? Do you hate it? It's okay if you think to yourself, yes. There have been times, and I'm sure there will be times, where I have felt as though I hate my job and that I only am doing it for the money. I am trying real hard to maintain a very positive attitude about my job. There are many things that I can't control, and there are many things that I can. One of which is my attitude. And if I continue to try to give 110% and stay positive about all of the things that I can control, stay positive with the people who are easy to work with and are willing to work with me, then that's the best that I can do for today. And tomorrow it may be the best that I can do tomorrow, but this plan, if we want to call it that, is not viable for the long term for me. I do not take much comfort in the comfort and security that my day job provides me. I had an interesting conversation. If you noticed that there was maybe a little bit of a pause when I first was reading, it's because I paused the recording and there was a gentleman named Dave who is working for Cody, and we were talking about trees. And after mentioning that I worked at Davis Tree Farm, and he mentioned that wondering if I could help him with obtaining some trees. And anyways, the long and short of it is I realized that the conversation that we had made me think of a potential market for small trees that aren't really handled by or dealt with by many garden centers locally. And it's an interesting market. And that's, again, maybe another topic for another show, but I'm not in the position to move forward in that direction right now, but at some point I might be. And at that point, I will feel as though I'm actually moving forward in the direction, doing things that I love. And this show this morning went in a couple different directions that I wasn't really expecting it to, and that's part of the fun of these unstructured free talk episodes that are based on one of the various devotionals that I read. when I was walking out to my truck, I thought I was going to talk about some goofy idea that I've had this season about delaying the purchase of boots to see if I can make the current ones that I have just make it through another season. I'm really stretching it, but that's money that I can put in my savings account, and that's money that'll get me 1 or 2 weeks closer to reaching my savings goals. But that question or what have you was lost in the shuffle of the rest of the dialogue that took place today. So just think about that. Think about that basic principle and how oftentimes we get that wrong. Is the root of all evil money? No. It's the love of money that is the root of all evil. And one last question that you can think about during the day is, are you a faithful steward of money, or are there areas where you have allowed it to control you? And that, my friends, is it for this episode of the All Around Growth podcast. If you like what you hear and you are an iTunes or Apple Podcasts listener, there's a link in the show notes in all caps. It says click here to rate and review the podcast. That link is for you. Please check it out, follow that link, and give it a rating. And if you feel so inclined, give it a written review as well. Really helps the algorithms, helps the show grow and get new people exposed to it who might otherwise not be. And also, speaking of exposing people to it who otherwise might not be, if this is your first time listening to the show, there is a link in the show notes that will take you to all past episodes as well. And that way you can give it a quick scroll and see if there's anything that's appealing to you. And after listening to a few episodes, if you feel like other people might want to listen to it as well, share it with them. There's ways to share: email, social media, whatever. Anything helps. And that's really about it. Oh, last but not least, we are on Telegram. The Telegram group is t.me/allaroundgrowth on your internet browser, or if you've got the app on your phone, you can search the groups for All Around Growth, and you'll find us there. We got a whole bunch of things going on. There's a lot of dialogue about a lot of different things. We'd love to have you join us. And that's it. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for listening. I sure do appreciate your time, and I sure do appreciate you spending it with me. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.